All right, everybody, welcome back to OffBeat Sports Podcast presented by iSlide. As today we're joined by our repeat guest, Coach Pete DeBoer. Thanks for joining us.
Nice to be here again with you guys. An annual tradition in my summer.
We love it. So we'll just start off. So what's next for you, Coach?
Well, right now I'm back in Canada for the summer, kind of decompressing, and then like a lot of NHL coaches in today's environment, you coach until they tell you not to coach it anymore, and then you start getting yourself ready for what's next. So I'm kind of recharging my batteries. We had 3 great years and 3 great runs to the conference finals. Over 100 games every year in Dallas. The 3 years I was there. A lot of big wins and obviously some tough losses in the end, especially when we hit Edmonton in the conference finals the last 2 years. But great memories, and like any coaching stop, when you get on this carousel, you you try and remember all the great things that happen. You try and learn from some of the things that maybe didn't go your way, and make sure you're a better coach and in a better place the next stop. So I don't know what's next, but I'm excited, like I always am in the off season for the next challenge.
Yeah. You got any fun hobbies? Keep you busy and a little golf?
You know what? Little bit of golf, not enough to be any good. So,
I feel
I
you on
play.
that one.
Yeah, I play. I play a little bit. I'm on a lake up here in Canada, so a lot of water stuff, fishing, boating, things like that. I've got elderly parents that live close here, so I'm kind of catching up with them. That's one of the things about coaching. Um, it's a fantastically rewarding job on all kinds of levels, but there are some major sacrifices that go into it, and one of the big ones is family time. Getting a chance to spend time with your parents or your kids, isn't a big priority when you're coaching an NHL team and traveling and doing what you do every other night for 8 or 9 months under the pressure you're under. So, well, probably 9 or 10 months. So I'm just trying to catch up on some of that lost time that you have when you're coaching at that level.
Well, I'm sure the burning question that everybody's wondering is, will we see you at more Holy Cross hockey games this upcoming season?
Absolutely. Great question, and absolutely. And the only person that won't be happy about that will be my son Matt. Matt, I'm sure he's going to get the in-person scouting reports on how he played that night, Aiden. But I'm signed up for the Holy Cross golf tournament in late August, which I got to last year prior to leaving for training camp. So I'm going to do that again. Great event, raise some great money for the program. I'm actually amazed at where the program's gone in the 3 years Matt's played there. Bill Riga and Matt, or Bill Riga came in the year before Matt got there, so Bill's been there 4 years, but Matt's been there three. But they really turned themselves into a really good program, that can compete with just about anybody in the country, and plays the right way. I've had a lot of success, including in the playoffs and some deep runs. So, I know, being a Holy Cross student, you're proud of that program, and you should be. And from the outside looking in, I've been really impressed with what they've done there.
Yeah, well, I mean, one just quick last note before we kind of dive into more of the questions. Just I remember the first game watching there, the exhibition game against BC. It was kind of a big deal when we were able to upset them. I think it was 2-1 in
Right.
an exhibition match, and it was kind of like everybody was all talking about it compared to 3 years later. Now we're playing those Hockey East schools expected to compete and potentially win. I know we start the year off with Northeastern and potentially
Yeah.
make the NCAA tournament. So it really has been quite the rise for them in the last few years.
Yeah, great run. I mean, they played BU really tough last year. They swept Connecticut the year before, I think. So, Yeah, great for the program, and I can't believe that it's Matt's final year. He's already senior, so that's one of the other things I'm looking forward to is getting to see him play. As an NHL coach, I think I've seen him in person, a live game play maybe two or three times over the last 3 years. So, I'm really looking forward to seeing some live Holy Cross games.
Yeah, so kind of diving into this past season, you had the opportunity to be an assistant coach on Team Canada's championship-winning Four Nations face-off squad. So just kind of wondering what your experience was like working with some of the best players in the game and what it meant to you to represent your native country on the international stage.
Yeah. Well, you know what? First off, what a great honor to represent. But second, the hockey was so good. I tell people, I mean, I remember standing on the bench in Montreal for the first Canada-US game, and the level of play. I mean, the whole physicality and the fights at the beginning, and the rink was electric. I mean, that was obviously a special hockey moment for both countries. And the U.S. won that game, so obviously a big win for them that night. But the level of hockey, when you were standing at ice level on the bench, I became a fan for the night. I mean, it was so fast, so skilled, so many good players on the ice. I've coached in a couple Stanley Cup finals, a whole bunch of conference finals. This was a whole nother level, above that. Every guy on the ice was elite, was making plays, and the level of play was so good. You really stood there as a coach and almost became a fan for the night watching how good those guys were. So, I just, it's something I'll always remember. We've got the Olympics coming up this year. I'm hopeful, hopefully going to get an opportunity to stay involved with that. We haven't made any announcements yet, but, I'd love to continue that representation of Team Canada through the Olympics if I get the chance. And what do you say about having the opportunity to coach McDavid and Sidney Crosby? And I've had a handful of those guys on different teams before. I've had Sidney and Crosby, Marchand, Drew Doughty, some other players there before, some of the older guys on that team, but I never had a chance. And that wasn't in the NHL. That was at World Championships or World Juniors. But I never had the chance. Connor McDavid has played 9 years in the NHL and hasn't had a chance to play best on best till the Four Nations this year, which is a little bit of a shame. And I know how excited he was to play it, and it showed. Obviously with his performance, but I know the best players in the world. That's what they live for, is to play in those type of events. So the Olympics this year, I think, is going to be even another level higher than what we saw at the Four Nations.
So with those Olympics coming up, and you have the NHL players obviously back in the Olympics. So it looking like a contested pool of teams, I guess, in countries. So how do you think Team Canada matches up against these strong contenders like the U.S. and Sweden,
Yeah.
and in some of those other countries?
Well, I'll tell you what. I mean, we beat the U.S. Well, we beat them in the gold medal game of the Four Nations, but they beat us in Montreal. Two really evenly matched teams. And on paper, if you look at that U.S. team, I mean, they're spectacular. Uh, I will tell you, even in the Four Nations, I mean, Sweden gave us a really hard game, and if you look at their lineup, they're exceptionally deep. Finland, the same thing, and that's just the teams that were in the Four Nations. You're going to add, the Czechs and the Slovaks and the Germans and some of these other countries. I think their most recent World Championship, Canada got upset, and they had a fairly stacked roster over at the Worlds, but they got upset in the quarterfinals. Um, I'm trying to remember by who. I believe it was Switzerland. So, and another hockey country. So, hockey's now at the point, and that all these countries can ice a really competitive team. They might not have 20 guys that play in the NHL, but you know, a lot of them do, and if they don't have 20, they've got 10 or 15, and the rest are really good players in Europe. So the parity of the Olympics isn't what it was 20 years ago. It's much better, and every country can beat any country on any given night, and it's just going to be fantastic hockey.
I
I
don't
mean,
tune into a
I
lot of hockey, and I'll be tuned in. So that should tell you that I was watching that Four Nations thing religiously. I thought it was wicked entertaining. 'Cause
Yeah,
I'm a playoff hockey guy. Like I like when this like when it's like that step higher like level,
yeah,
and there's something like to play for. Like so that level of hockey that was in that Four Nations is incredible. So like when you
yeah.
look at that Four Nations, like is that something like you enjoyed more than an all-star game? Because I would have to imagine coaching competitive hockey would be something that would be more
Oh,
appealing.
no comparison. No comparison to an All-Star game. And I've had the chance to do, I think, two All-Star games. The last one I did was in Vegas, and then the one before that was in LA. Totally different vibes and feelings. I mean, the All-Star game is a feel-good weekend. The competitive juices aren't really there. Although when the 3-on-3 tournament, when it got to the end, the guys played hard, but totally different feeling than the Four Nations. And you could tell. I mean, that Four Nations was like a Stanley Cup final
Mm.
uh, puck drop before Canada US on Saturday night in Montreal, and that's really hard to recreate that unless you're playing country against country or for the Stanley Cup in the playoffs. That type of intensity. So any time you can get an opportunity to do something like that, I think hockey should absolutely jump at the chance to do it.
Right, and I can definitely attest to that becoming more of a global game because I remember watching the championship for the Four Nations, the U.S. versus Canada, that game that went on multiple overtimes, I think, when Canada got the win. Even I was in Europe, it was like 4 or 5 in the morning. Like, you have to be pretty dedicated to be up
Where were
that
you
late
at four
watching
or five in the
hockey.
morning?
I was up watching the Four Nations, and but the thing with that is like I'm out at like a restaurant watching it like
Oh, a
late into
restaurant.
the night, and there's Swedish people there, there's French people, British, Irish, like everyone's watching it. Like everybody's kind of tuned in, like knowing the players. Like it really is becoming more and more of a global game.
Yeah, and especially when you put best on best like that. I mean, I think that attracts the world attention, and when you slip in the intensity, that those games had, with the fights and the physicality. If you're not a hockey fan, it's hard not to walk out and not be one after watching one of those games.
Eden, was it a
Right.
nice restaurant you were watching in?
Very nice restaurant, very nice. But yeah, you kind of touched upon really kind of decompressing, taking a break, enjoying time with family during this off season. But kind of looking ahead to the NHL, are there any specific qualities you would be looking for in a prospective team that you would consider coaching, or what would a team have to have for you to consider it to be like the right opportunity if that's a path you would want to go down?
Yeah, no, it's a great question, Aiden. I think you know what I'm smart enough to recognize there's only 32 of these jobs in the world. So I think any NHL coaching job is a great opportunity and a great situation. So there's just that few of them. If you look at any other kind of uh, job market, there's very few areas, where someone says, well, there's only 32 of these jobs in the world and you're applying for one. So, what I have too much respect for the league and the ability to coach the best players in the world. That I really believe, any of those jobs are fantastic jobs. So, we'll see what happens. I'm excited. I'm going to use the time that I am off. It'll be actually this will be the first training camp in 26 years that I haven't gone off to a training camp. I've had some stops along the way. I've been fired in some places. It's usually been, when I have, it's been either end of the season or mid season, and I've always been heading to another training camp with another job the next September or the immediate September. So I've never had a September, October where I haven't been heading to a training camp. So I'm actually looking forward to the first one in a long time of that, and then we'll see what happens after that.
So your longtime assistant and close friend Steve Spott recently joined the Bruins staff. So for us
Mm-hmm.
Boston people, under the new coach Marco Sturm. So what should Bruins fans know about Coach Spott, and why should they be excited for this season with him running the penalty kills unit?
Yeah. Oh, great question. First, Cross, great coach. I mean, it's not an accident. I've brought him just about everywhere I've gone. Um, yeah, he's a teacher by his background. He was a high school teacher. He was a really good college hockey player at Colgate. If you look it up, I think he scored 20 goals in college hockey as a freshman, which is almost unheard of in the NCAA. So he's got that great combination of was a really good player, was a great teacher, can communicate, can really develop relationships really quickly with players. So I think the Bruins hit a home run in adding him to their staff, and I think he's going to make a real difference, and I think he's going to be a real good asset for Marco Sturm, who's a young coach coming into the league. I mean, this is Marco's first NHL job as a head coach. He's been in obviously as a player and as an assistant, but I know when I came in as an NHL head coach at 40 years old, I was the youngest coach in the NHL at the time into Florida 17 years ago. Uh, the best thing that happened was Mike Kitchen, a veteran NHL coach, had been a long-time assistant, won all those cups with Joel Quenneville in Chicago after that. But he was a veteran guy that had been in the league forever as a player and a coach. And he was a holdover from the previous staff, and I inherited him. And it was the best thing that ever happened. I didn't know him as a coach, but his veteran presence, his ability to help me as a young coach in the league, kind of navigate all the things that you're not, really ready for, or you think you are, but you aren't. So I think Spotter has that type of resume for Marco, and I think he's going to be a great asset for the Bruins staff.
So we got a fun one to wrap it up for you. What's your
Okay.
favorite sports movie?
Oh wow, that's a great question. So many good ones. You know what? Uh, I love. I mean, I love Slapshot. That's the obvious one. I gotta tell you, the one that me and my son Matt and my other son Jack, who played at Boston University, all love is the one with Jackie Moon. The with the tropics.
Uh,
Semi-pro.
Semi
Semi-pro.
pro.
Semi-pro.
Yeah, I love semi pro. I love Caddyshack. A little bit of old school. If I Old school would be Slapshot and Caddyshack. New school would be semi pro for me.
Semi-pro is such a good one. That's
Yeah.
well,
What?
that's all we got for you, Coach. Thank
All
you.
right. You guys are the best. Hayden, we'll see
Appreciate.
you at a Holy Cross game.
Sounds
And
good.
Hey, maybe
yeah,
I'll have to
Cross.
pop out for him. I'm graduated now. I'm an old guy.
There you go.
I got
For
the
sure.
time.
All right. Well, I'll be at a bunch of them. So make sure you
Oh,
guys
perfect.
pop up. I'll buy
Oh
you a
yeah,
beer.
I'm at pretty much all of the home games, so
All right.
I will
I'll
definitely be
definitely
there.
pop up. I'll
All
definitely
right.
pop up for a couple. Thank you,
Good,
Coach. We
fellas.
appreciate it.
Thank
See
you.
you guys. Thank you.
Everybody, thank you for watching. We will see you next time on Offbeat Sports.
Call them all Texas.